Welcome back, everyone. The 1950s were a time of incredible growth and innovation in the American auto industry. But not every car from that decade was a hit. In fact, some were downright disasters. Today we're counting down the 7 dumbest and worst cars to come out of America in the 1950s. You'll be amazed these ever hit the roads. Let's get started. The 1951 Crosley Hotshot was an ambitious yet flawed attempt to capture the spirit of post-war America's burgeoning love for sporty, compact vehicles. This pint-sized two-seater was the brainchild of Powell Crosley Jr., a visionary who had already made a name for himself with innovative appliances and affordable small cars. The Hotshot was marketed as a sports car, designed to offer the thrill of driving at an accessible price point. However, while the concept was intriguing, the execution left much to be desired. At first glance, the Hotshot's diminutive size immediately set it apart from the larger, more powerful cars of the era. Measuring just over 10 feet in length and weighing a mere 1,100 pounds, the Hotshot was designed with minimalism in mind. Its Spartan construction was both its greatest asset and its Achilles heel. On the one hand, its lightweight build made it nimble and easy to handle, offering a driving experience that was quite different from the heavy, cumbersome vehicles that dominated the roads in the early 1950s. On the other hand, this same lightweight design came at the cost of comfort, durability, and practicality. Under the hood, the Hotshot was powered by a 44 cubic inch, 724cc, 4-cylinder engine that produced a modest 26.5 horsepower. While this might sound laughably underpowered by today's standards, it was adequate for a vehicle of the Hotshot's size and weight. The car's top speed was around 70 miles per hour, which, combined with its low-slung body and open-top design, did give drivers a sense of speed and excitement. However, this excitement was often tempered by the car's limitations. The engine, though plucky, struggled to provide the kind of performance that sports car enthusiasts craved, and its lack of power made highway driving a nerve-wracking experience. The Hotshot's design was as utilitarian as its engine. The car was equipped with no doors, no roof, and only a basic windshield. The lack of doors meant that entering and exiting the car required a bit of gymnastics, especially for taller or less agile individuals. The absence of a roof made the Hotshot a fair-weather friend, limiting its usability to sunny days and dry climates. Even the windshield, while functional, was minimalistic, offering little in the way of protection from the elements. One of the most significant drawbacks of the Hotshot was its build quality. The car's body was made of steel, which was prone to rusting, and the overall construction was often described as flimsy. Reliability was another issue, with the Hotshot gaining a reputation for mechanical problems. These issues were compounded by the car's lack of creature comforts. There were no side windows, no heater, and only a rudimentary ventilation system. The Hotshot was very much a car that demanded sacrifices from its owners. Despite its shortcomings, the Crosley Hotshot did have a few redeeming qualities. It was, after all, one of the first American cars to be marketed specifically as a sports car, and it had a certain charm that appealed to a niche group of enthusiasts. The Hotshot's agility made it a fun car to drive on winding country roads, and its small size made it easy to park and maneuver in tight spaces. For those who valued driving enjoyment over comfort and practicality, the Hotshot offered a unique and engaging experience. The Hotshot also enjoyed a brief moment of glory in motorsports. In 1950, a Hotshot famously won the Index of Performance at the Sebring 6 Hours, an impressive feat for such a modestly powered vehicle. This victory was a testament to the car's handling capabilities and its lightweight construction, even if it didn't translate to commercial success. Unfortunately, the Crosley Hotshot's appeal was too limited to sustain long-term production. While it found a small but passionate fan base, most consumers found it too small, too impractical, and too underpowered for everyday use. The car's questionable reliability further hampered its sales, and by 1952, Crosley Motors ceased production altogether. Today, the Hotshot is remembered as a curious footnote in automotive history, a car that dared to be different, but ultimately fell short of its ambitions. In hindsight, the Crosley Hotshot can be seen as a precursor to the more successful sports cars that would emerge in the following decades. It embodied the spirit of innovation and the desire to create something unique, even if it didn't quite hit the mark. For collectors and automotive historians, the Hotshot represents an interesting chapter in the story of post-war American cars, a time when the industry was experimenting with new ideas and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. While it may not have been a commercial success, the Crosley Hotshot's legacy lives on as a symbol of a bygone era, when small, quirky cars like this could capture the imagination of a select few. The 1957 Ford Edsel stands as one of the most infamous examples of an automotive misstep, a cautionary tale in the history of car manufacturing. Launched with immense fanfare and heralded as the car of the future, the Edsel was intended to revolutionize the mid-market segment and offer something distinctly different from Ford's other brands. However, what was meant to be a triumph turned into a spectacular failure, becoming synonymous with misguided ambition and marketing gone awry. The Edsel's development was born out of Ford's desire to fill a perceived gap between its Ford and Mercury lines. The idea was to create a car that would offer more luxury and innovation than the standard Ford models, but without the full-on prestige and price tag of a Lincoln. To achieve this, Ford poured millions into market research, believing they had pinpointed exactly what the American car-buying public wanted. Unfortunately, this confidence in market research did not translate into success. One of the most immediately noticeable aspects of the Edsel was its design, particularly the controversial horse collar grille. This vertically oval grille, intended to be a bold and distinctive styling choice, ended up being one of the most polarizing features of the car. Some critics likened it to a toilet seat, while others found it simply unattractive and out of place on a car that was otherwise fairly conventional in appearance. The grille was meant to set the Edsel apart from other vehicles on the road, but instead, it became a symbol of the car's failure to resonate with the buying public. The Edsel was not just a design experiment. It was also packed with a variety of features that were, at the time, considered cutting-edge. These included a push-button transmission system mounted in the center of the steering wheel, self-adjusting brakes, and a rotating speedometer. While these innovations were meant to highlight the car's modernity and appeal to tech-savvy consumers, they often proved more confusing and frustrating than convenient. The push-button transmission, for example, was prone to mechanical issues, and the overall complexity of the car's gadgetry turned off many potential buyers who were used to more straightforward, reliable vehicles. In addition to its design and mechanical issues, the Edsel was plagued by poor timing. Launched during a recession, the car was priced higher than many consumers were willing to pay, particularly for a brand-new nameplate that had yet to prove itself. The economic downturn meant that buyers were increasingly cautious with their spending, and the Edsel's premium pricing was at odds with the market's demand for more affordable, practical vehicles. Another critical factor in the Edsel's downfall was its marketing campaign, which had promised far more than the car could deliver. Ford's advertising blitz touted the Edsel as the ultimate driving experience, a car that would outshine anything else on the market. However, when the car finally arrived in showrooms, it quickly became apparent that the reality did not match the hype. The gap between expectations and reality left many consumers feeling disappointed and disillusioned. The Edsel's production quality also suffered from significant issues. Ford had rushed to get the car to market, and as a result, many Edsels rolled off the assembly line with defects and inconsistencies. Reports of poor craftsmanship, such as misaligned panels and faulty components, further eroded consumer confidence in the brand. The Edsel's initial launch was also chaotic, with a confusing array of models and options that left buyers unsure of what they were getting for their money. Despite Ford's attempts to salvage the situation, including reducing prices and simplifying the model lineup, the damage was already done. The Edsel quickly became a laughingstock, a symbol of corporate hubris and the dangers of overestimating consumer demand. By 1960, just 3 years after its launch, the Edsel was discontinued, and Ford was left to write off a massive financial loss. In retrospect, the Edsel's failure can be attributed to a combination of flawed design, overcomplicated features, poor timing, and a marketing campaign that set unattainably high expectations. While the car itself was not entirely without merit, some of its innovations were genuinely ahead of their time. The overall package failed to connect with consumers in any meaningful way. Today, the Edsel has achieved a certain cult status among car enthusiasts and collectors. Its rarity and the story of its failure make it a fascinating piece of automotive history. However, the Edsel remains a stark reminder of how even the most well-funded and well-intentioned projects can go disastrously wrong if they fail to align with the needs and desires of the market. The 1953 Kaiser Frazer Henry J. Corsair represents an ambitious, yet ultimately unsuccessful attempt to carve out a niche in the increasingly competitive automotive market of the early 1950s. Kaiser Frazer, a relatively small player compared to the automotive giants of the time, aimed to offer an affordable, compact car that would appeal to a broad range of consumers. Unfortunately, despite its best efforts, the Henry J. Corsair failed to resonate with buyers, becoming a symbol of the challenges faced by smaller automakers in an era dominated by the Big Three. The Henry J was originally conceived as a no-frills, budget-friendly car, a concept that seemed promising in the post-war era when there was significant demand for affordable transportation. The car was named after Henry J. Kaiser, the industrialist behind the Kaiser Frazer Corporation, who envisioned a vehicle that would be within reach of the average American family. To achieve this, the Henry J was designed to be as simple and cost-effective as possible, with a focus on minimizing production costs. However, this focus on affordability came at a significant cost to the car's overall appeal. The Henry J's design was utilitarian to the point of being unattractive, with awkward proportions that made it look out of place alongside the more stylish offerings from competitors. The car's short wheelbase and stubby profile gave it a somewhat ungainly appearance, which did little to inspire excitement among potential buyers. In an effort to broaden the Henry J's appeal, Kaiser Frazer introduced the Corsair variant in 1953. The Corsair was intended to be a more upscale version of the Henry J, featuring additional chrome trim, fancier upholstery, and other cosmetic enhancements. The goal was to attract buyers who wanted a bit more style and sophistication without sacrificing the car's affordable price point. Unfortunately, these efforts were largely superficial and did little to address the fundamental issues with the Henry J's design and execution. One of the most significant drawbacks of the Henry J, including the Corsair variant, was its lack of basic features that consumers had come to expect, even in budget cars. The Henry J did not come standard with a trunk that could be accessed from outside the car. Drivers had to fold down the rear seat to reach the cargo area. Additionally, the car was initially offered without a glove compartment, armrests, or even a sun visor for the passenger side. These omissions made the Henry J feel cheap and incomplete, and they contrasted sharply with the more well-equipped vehicles offered by Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth. The materials used in the Henry J Corsair were also a point of contention. In an effort to keep costs down, Kaiser Frazer opted for cheaper materials in both the interior and exterior of the car. This decision resulted in a vehicle that felt less substantial and less durable than its competitors. The Corsair's attempt to dress up the Henry J with chrome trim and better upholstery only served to highlight the underlying issues, making it clear that the enhancements were merely surface-level improvements. Despite its shortcomings, the Henry J Corsair did have some positive attributes. It was lightweight and relatively fuel-efficient, which were important considerations for some buyers. Additionally, the car was simple to maintain and repair, which made it an appealing option for budget-conscious consumers who prioritized practicality over style. However, these strengths were not enough to overcome the car's overall lack of appeal in a market that was becoming increasingly focused on style, comfort, and performance. The Henry J Corsair's failure to gain traction in the marketplace was emblematic of the broader struggles faced by Kaiser Frazer during this period. The company was unable to compete with the economies of scale enjoyed by the Big Three automakers, who could offer more car for the money thanks to their larger production volumes and more extensive dealer networks. Kaiser Frazer's limited resources meant that it could not afford to make the necessary investments in design, marketing, and production to truly compete on an equal footing. By the mid-1950s, Kaiser Frazer's automotive division was in serious financial trouble, and the Henry J, along with its Corsair variant, was discontinued. The company eventually exited the automobile business altogether, focusing instead on its more successful industrial and construction ventures. In hindsight, the 1953 Kaiser Frazer Henry J Corsair is a poignant reminder of the challenges faced by smaller automakers in a rapidly evolving industry. It also serves as a lesson in the importance of balancing cost-cutting measures with consumer expectations. While the idea of an affordable compact car was sound, the execution fell short, leaving the Henry J Corsair as a footnote in automotive history rather than the game-changer it was intended to be. The 1954 Hudson Jet stands as a cautionary tale in the history of the automotive industry, illustrating how even a company known for its innovation and engineering prowess can falter when it misreads market trends. Hudson, a brand that had once been celebrated for its sleek and revolutionary designs, stumbled significantly with the Jet, a compact car that was intended to broaden the company's appeal, but instead became one of its greatest missteps. Hudson had built its reputation on innovation, particularly with its step-down design introduced in 1948, which lowered the car's center of gravity and improved handling and safety. This engineering feat helped Hudson dominate the NASCAR circuit in the early 1950s with its Hornet model, a car that became a legend for its performance. However, the automotive landscape was rapidly changing, and by the early 1950s, Hudson found itself struggling to compete against the growing dominance of the big three automakers: Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. In response, Hudson's executives decided to venture into the compact car market, a segment that was starting to gain traction as post-war America experienced an economic boom. The idea was to create a smaller, more affordable vehicle that could attract middle-class families who were looking for economical transportation. Thus, the Hudson Jet was born, with high hopes that it would rejuvenate the company's fortunes. Unfortunately, the Jet failed to deliver on these ambitions. From the outset, the car's design was a major point of contention. Unlike Hudson's previous models, which had been praised for their sleek aerodynamic looks, the Jet was boxy and uninspired. Its squared-off lines and high roofline made it look old-fashioned and out of step with the more modern, curvaceous designs that were beginning to dominate the market. The Jet's appearance did little to excite potential buyers, who were looking for style as well as practicality in their new cars. The Jet's problems were not limited to aesthetics. Under the hood, the car was equipped with a small, underpowered engine that struggled to provide the kind of performance consumers expected. At a time when even economy cars were starting to offer more powerful engines and better driving dynamics, the Jet's lackluster performance was a significant drawback. It was neither fast enough to appeal to driving enthusiasts, nor efficient enough to justify its modest power, leaving it stranded in an uncomfortable middle ground. Moreover, the Jet's interior was cramped and uncomfortable, particularly in the rear seats, where legroom was at a premium. This was a critical flaw, as the car was marketed as a practical family vehicle. Families who might have been interested in a compact car for city driving, or as a second vehicle, were quickly turned off by the Jet's lack of space and comfort. Perhaps the most damaging aspect of the Jet's failure was its financial impact on Hudson. The development and production of the Jet were costly, and the company had pinned much of its future on the success of this model. When sales fell far short of expectations, Hudson found itself in a precarious financial position. The Jet's failure was a significant factor in Hudson's decision to merge with Nash Kelvinator Corporation in 1954, forming the American Motors Corporation, AMC. The merger marked the end of Hudson as an independent brand, with the Jet serving as a symbol of the company's decline. In hindsight, the Hudson Jet's failure can be attributed to several factors: a lack of market research, poor design choices, and an underestimation of consumer expectations. Hudson's management was so focused on entering the compact car market that they overlooked the importance of creating a vehicle that was not only practical, but also appealing in terms of design and performance. The Jet's boxy, uninspired appearance and mediocre performance simply couldn't compete with the offerings from the Big Three, which were more attractive, better engineered, and often sold at a lower price due to economies of scale. The story of the 1954 Hudson Jet is a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in the automotive industry. A company that was once at the forefront of innovation and performance saw its fortunes decline rapidly due to a single, poorly executed model. The Jet's failure contributed to the loss of Hudson's independence and serves as a classic example of how even great companies can get it wrong when they lose touch with consumer desires and market realities. Today, the Hudson Jet is remembered more for its role in the company's downfall than for any particular innovation or achievement. It's a sobering chapter in the history of an otherwise remarkable automaker. illustrating the high stakes involved in the fiercely competitive world of car manufacturing. The 1955 Packard Clipper is a poignant example of how even the most storied automotive brands can struggle to adapt to changing market conditions. Once a symbol of American luxury and engineering excellence, Packard found itself in a precarious position by the mid-1950s as it attempted to navigate the shifting landscape of the post-war automotive industry. The Clipper, which was introduced as a more affordable alternative within Packard's lineup, was meant to attract a broader audience and revitalize the brand. However, instead of rejuvenating Packard, the Clipper inadvertently contributed to its decline, highlighting the challenges of balancing brand identity with market demands. Packard had built its reputation on producing high-quality, luxurious vehicles that were favored by America's elite. Throughout the 1930s and early 1940s, the Packard name was synonymous with prestige, craftsmanship, and innovation. However, the post-war era brought new challenges. The automotive market was becoming increasingly competitive, with more brands vying for consumer attention. The rise of the big three automakers, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, created an environment where smaller, independent companies like Packard struggled to compete, particularly in terms of production scale and pricing. In an effort to adapt, Packard made the decision to introduce the Clipper as a separate line within its brand, positioned as a budget luxury car. The idea was to offer a more affordable option that could appeal to middle-class buyers who aspired to own a Packard but couldn't afford the higher-end models. Unfortunately, this strategy had the unintended consequence of diluting Packard's brand identity. For decades, Packard had been associated with exclusivity and luxury. By introducing a more economical model, the brand risked alienating its traditional customer base, while also failing to attract the younger, more price-sensitive buyers it sought. The 1955 Packard Clipper's design reflected this identity crisis. While Packard had been known for its elegant and innovative designs, the Clipper was perceived as dated and uninspiring. The car featured a somewhat conservative design that didn't stand out in a market that was increasingly embracing bold, futuristic styling. At a time when competitors were introducing sleek, modern designs with an emphasis on performance and luxury, the Clipper's restrained appearance made it seem out of step with the trends of the mid-1950s. Furthermore, the Clipper's marketing as a budget luxury car created confusion among consumers. Luxury car buyers typically sought vehicles that were not only high in quality, but also exclusive. The introduction of a more affordable model within a luxury brand's lineup risked diminishing the perception of exclusivity that Packard had worked so hard to cultivate. On the other hand, middle-class buyers looking for value found better options in other brands that were more clearly positioned as offering both quality and affordability. As a result, the Clipper struggled to find its niche in the market. The introduction of the Clipper also highlighted broader issues within Packard as a company. By the mid-1950s, Packard was facing significant financial difficulties and management challenges. The decision to produce the Clipper was partly driven by the need to increase sales volume to stay competitive, but it also revealed a lack of clear strategic direction. The company was torn between maintaining its identity as a luxury automaker and trying to compete in the more crowded, price-sensitive mass market. This indecision was reflected in the Clipper's mixed reception and ultimately undermined the brand's overall image. The failure of the Clipper to resonate with consumers had far-reaching consequences for Packard. Instead of revitalizing the brand, the Clipper's lackluster performance in the market contributed to a further erosion of Packard's prestige. The company's financial situation continued to deteriorate, leading to a series of mergers and acquisitions in an attempt to stay afloat. However, these efforts were ultimately unsuccessful, and by 1958 the Packard name was retired, marking the end of an era for one of America's most iconic luxury car brands. In retrospect, the 1955 Packard Clipper serves as a case study in the importance of maintaining brand identity and understanding market positioning. Packard's attempt to broaden its appeal by introducing a more affordable model ultimately backfired, as it failed to attract the new customers it needed, while alienating its traditional base. The Clipper's uninspired design and confused marketing message only compounded the problem, accelerating Packard's decline in the fiercely competitive automotive market of the 1950s. Today, the 1955 Packard Clipper is remembered as a symbol of a great brand's struggle to stay relevant in a changing world. The 1958 Chevrolet Yman stands as a testament to the pitfalls of prioritizing economy over appeal in the fiercely competitive automotive market. As a no-frills, budget-conscious station wagon, the Yman was designed to cater to families and individuals who needed practical transportation without breaking the bank. However, in its quest to offer an affordable option, Chevrolet stripped the Yman of nearly all the elements that made its other models desirable, resulting in a vehicle that was as uninspired as it was forgettable. In the late 1950s, Chevrolet was riding high on the success of its stylish and popular models like the Bel Air and the Impala. These cars were known for their flashy designs, chrome accents, and a range of features that appealed to the post-war consumer's desire for both comfort and status. The Yman, on the other hand, was positioned as a utilitarian vehicle, an entry-level station wagon meant to provide basic transportation for the masses. Unfortunately, in stripping away the style and features that defined Chevrolet's brand, the Yman ended up feeling like an afterthought, a car that lacked the personality and appeal that buyers were looking for. The Yman's design was as plain as they come. The car had a boxy, utilitarian shape, with minimal chrome detailing and a sparse interior. Unlike its more glamorous siblings, the Yman was devoid of the sweeping lines, two-tone paint jobs, and eye-catching tail fins that had become hallmarks of 1950s automotive design. Instead, it presented a stark, no-nonsense appearance that might have been acceptable in the context of pure functionality, but did little to inspire pride of ownership. For a decade that celebrated excess and flamboyance in car design, the Yman's subdued aesthetic made it an outlier, and not in a good way. One of the most significant drawbacks of the Yman was its lack of features. While the Bel Air and Impala offered a range of amenities that appealed to the growing middle class, the Yman was stripped down to the basics. The focus on economy meant that the car was devoid of the comforts and conveniences that were becoming increasingly important to consumers. The interior was Spartan, with minimal attention to detail, and the overall driving experience was unremarkable at best. For families looking for a practical but enjoyable vehicle, the Yman simply didn't measure up to the competition. The Yman's lackluster appeal was further compounded by its positioning within Chevrolet's lineup. At a time when consumers had more options than ever before, the Yman's budget status didn't offer enough incentive to sway buyers away from more attractive models, both within Chevrolet's own offerings and from other manufacturers. The car was caught in a difficult spot, too stripped down to appeal to those looking for a stylish or well-equipped vehicle, yet not economical enough to make a strong case as a purely practical purchase. As a result, the Yman failed to establish a clear identity in the market, leaving it overshadowed by more compelling alternatives. Moreover, the late 1950s was a period of significant change in the automotive industry, with manufacturers pushing the boundaries of design, performance, and technology. The Yman, however, felt like a relic of an earlier era, a car that was content to meet the bare minimum requirements of transportation, without offering anything more. This was particularly detrimental in a decade that valued innovation and progress, where cars were increasingly seen as symbols of personal freedom and style. The Yman's conservative approach made it seem out of touch with the times, contributing to its rapid decline in popularity. The Chevrolet Yman was a car that, in many ways, embodied the concept of function over form, but in doing so, it sacrificed too much of what made cars appealing to buyers. While it may have served its purpose as a budget-friendly station wagon, it failed to resonate with consumers on a deeper level, lacking the excitement, style, and features that characterized the era. The result was a car that quickly faded into obscurity, remembered today more as a cautionary tale about the dangers of cutting too many corners in the pursuit of economy than as a significant chapter in automotive history. In retrospect, the 1958 Chevrolet Yman highlights the importance of balance in automotive design, between cost and quality, functionality and appeal. While the intent behind the Yman was clear, its execution left much to be desired, and it serves as a reminder that even in the realm of budget vehicles, there is still a need for a certain level of style, comfort, and innovation. Without these elements, a car risks being overlooked, as the Yman was, by a market that demands more than just the basics. The 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Brom represents a pinnacle of American automotive design, both revered and critiqued for its sheer opulence and unapologetic excess. As the final iteration of Cadillac's most luxurious and expensive model, The Eldorado Brom was a car that embodied the spirit of an era characterized by boldness and extravagance. However, its lavish design and exorbitant price tag also made it a lightning rod for criticism, symbolizing the excesses of the American automobile industry during the late 1950s. The Eldorado Brom was a marvel of design and engineering, intended to be the ultimate expression of Cadillac's luxury and prestige. Its most striking feature was undoubtedly its massive tail fins, which soared to unprecedented heights and became one of the most iconic elements of 1950s automotive design. These fins, coupled with the car's extensive use of chrome, made the Eldorado Brom impossible to ignore. The car's designers spared no expense in making it a rolling statement piece, with every detail exuding a sense of grandeur and luxury that was unmatched at the time. In addition to its eye-catching exterior, the Eldorado Brom was packed with innovative features that were designed to set it apart from anything else on the road. The car boasted air suspension, which was intended to provide a smoother ride by adjusting the car's height to varying road conditions. It also featured a stainless steel roof, a touch of futuristic design that underscored Cadillac's commitment to luxury and innovation. Inside, the Eldorado Brom offered a level of comfort and convenience that was unparalleled, with power everything, from seats to windows, and an interior that was lavishly appointed with the finest materials. However, the Eldorado Brom's ambition to be the best of the best also proved to be its Achilles heel. The car's air suspension, while groundbreaking in concept, was notoriously unreliable. Owners often found themselves dealing with malfunctions that made the ride anything but smooth. The stainless steel roof, though visually stunning, added significant weight to the car, which impacted its performance and fuel efficiency. Additionally, the car's complex array of electrical features, while impressive, were prone to failure, leaving owners with expensive repairs and a less than satisfactory ownership experience. The Eldorado Brom's extravagant design and features also came with an equally extravagant price tag. It was one of the most expensive cars on the market at the time, costing more than many houses. This high price limited its appeal to a very select group of buyers, and even among the wealthy, its ostentatious design was a matter of taste. While some people loved the car's outrageous styling and saw it as the ultimate symbol of success, others viewed it as the epitome of excess, an over-the-top expression of American car design that had lost touch with practicality and good taste. Critics of the Eldorado Brom saw it as a car that tried too hard to be everything at once. In its quest to be the ultimate luxury vehicle, it became a symbol of the excesses that were creeping into the American automobile industry. The car's design was so focused on making a statement that it often overlooked the basics of reliability and functionality. This led to a perception that the Eldorado Brom, for all its beauty and innovation, was more about showing off than providing a truly exceptional driving experience. Despite these criticisms, the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Brom remains a significant piece of automotive history. It is a car that encapsulates the spirit of an era, a time when bigger was better, and when American cars were designed to be not just modes of transportation, but symbols of status and success. The Eldorado Brom's legacy is one of both admiration and caution. It is celebrated for its bold design and ambition, but also remembered as a reminder that sometimes, in the pursuit of excess, the core values of practicality and reliability can be lost. Today, the Eldorado Brom is a highly sought-after collector's item, cherished by those who appreciate its place in automotive history. Its flaws and failures have become part of its mystique, and its status as a symbol of 1950s excess only adds to its allure. The car's combination of audacity, luxury, and imperfection makes it a fascinating study in how far the automobile industry can go in the pursuit of excellence, and how sometimes that pursuit can lead to both greatness and downfall. And there you have it, 7 of the dumbest and worst cars from America in the 1950s. These cars may have been ambitious, but they missed the mark in a big way. Which one shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.